Welcome to Washington, East to West Sports. This is episode 116. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at NastyBilly22. Kevin is C2Believe, that's SEA 2Believe on X or Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think of the topics we talk about in the comments below. Gentlemen, it's not football season yet. It's not football season yet, but we are going to talk a little bit about the Seahawks before we talk some Mariners and potentially some Kraken. And I know you guys are sad. I know Jamal Adams is no longer a Seahawk. He is on the Tennessee Titans, signed a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Sean, I can see the look of sadness in your face right now. How sad are you that Jamal Adams is no longer in a Seahawks uniform?
I'm just sad we're paying him $21 million this year. But I mean, maybe we got rid of the problem in draft, giving up 2 first-round picks, maybe the worst trade in Seahawks history. But it'll be over next year when it's off the books and everything like that. So quickly, football has realized safeties don't mean that much. Unfortunately, I think they're still a cool position, but they're not a super valuable position. So we're paying safeties a lot, and as we see by the free agent safety market, they are not getting a lot of money across the board, and the NFL has decided that the nerds have officially taken over. So I never wished Jamal Adams ill will here, but it was rough to see from day one. It was rough to see. So let's just turn the page. Let's ignore it happened.
Kevin, I know you're equally as sad as Sean.
Oh, so sad. The final giant mistake of Pete Carroll is essentially gone. Yeah, honestly, I think it probably is the worst trade in Seahawks history. I mean, I know the Jimmy Graham one wasn't great, but
it was 2 first-round picks for a safety. It was bad from the drop.
It was really
terrible. And then, of course, obviously they couldn't have seen how bad play-wise it was going to be, but still, even if he was great, it was still 2 first-rounders for a safety.
Plus, when he was healthy, he wasn't the worst in the league, but he wasn't great either. He was okay at pass rushing, but then in coverage, he was just not great at all. So he was more of a edge line.
In detail. He most of his stuff was unblocked. I don't even know if he's that good at blitzing. He just blitzed a lot, and so I don't know. It's one of those NBA things where I can get anybody on my team to score 30 a game. It's just how well is it going to help me when they get 30 a game. I can get Jamal Adams 10 sacks a year. It's going to hurt my defense, it turns out, but I can get him 10 sacks.
Plus, if you blow on him, he breaks a limb. So, yeah. So I'm not, like I said, the 21, was it 21 or 22 against the cap does not help us. But after this year, yes, that we get to move on, say goodbye to the final piece of the Pete Carroll era, just and start fresh.
Well, I, like you guys, am very sad to see Jamal go. Not only because he played so many games for the Seahawks because he was always healthy, but also his Twitter antics were equally as pleasing when he was online tweeting at people and trying to prove them wrong, even though he could never prove them wrong in the field. So wish you the best in Tennessee, Jamal, but we are glad that era is behind us, I think we could say. So Seahawks begin training camp in a little over a week. We're recording this on a Tuesday. They begin Wednesday, July 24th. And then we will get into training camp for a couple weeks before they play some preseason games, and we'll see what this team can possibly look like. So we'll have some Seahawks talk coming up here within the next month or so. But one thing I do want to mention, they did announce their theme games, and they're only wearing the throwbacks, at least so far announced, on October 10th. They are wearing them on August 8th, which is a preseason game. I don't count that, though. They wearing them with two? I only saw October 10th.
I heard two.
Green Bay and San Fran.
Green Bay and San Fran. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I couldn't remember the other ones, but I knew San Fran was one of them.
That makes me a little happier. I would like to wear them maybe 1 or 2 more times, but I'll take twice a year. That's fine with me. Both those are home games, I believe, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they would
okay.
wear. Yeah.
Well, they wore them in Dallas last year, so that was why I was.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, yeah, as long as they're both home games, that would be awesome. But
yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought they were, but yeah.
I think that the San Fran's a Thursday night football.
Yes, it
is.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah.
And I am looking at the schedule right now, and Green Bay is also at home on primetime, Sunday Night
Yeah.
Football.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Wear them in prime time. Yeah.
All right. Well, we get to look forward to those sweet, sweet throwback unis once again. But let us turn our attention to a sport that is currently happening, and that is the Seattle Mariners. Yes, they are actually not currently happening. I actually watched some of the All-Star game while I was cooking today. I didn't see Munoz or Gilbert get in. I must have missed them, or they did not get in. Did anybody
You're
else?
old.
I am not sad. Please don't pitch. Just don't hurt
I know.
yourself. Pitchers get hurt all the time. Yeah, just you know, please don't hurt and ruin this. Is there more of a Mariners thing to do is ruin your season in an All-Star game? Like, you know what I mean?
Especially
Like,
the series coming off of it. It's very good. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, they've regressed a little bit since we were last on this podcast. So I believe last time we were on this podcast, they had a 10-game lead in the AL West, and that has dwindled down to one game at the All-Star break here. Houston is hot on their tails at 50 and 46. Texas has played a little better, still 5 games back though. But the Mariners, uh, there have been some worried people on the internet, as I have observed. So, Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you first. What have you thought of the Mariners going to the All-Star break and where they are right now?
yeah, I mean, not the ideal situation. It was worse off like 2, 3 weeks ago. Uh, but and like I said, there's also still room for improvement. But I mean, Sean will go over the numbers of like Julio and some of the other players like a while back. Like I said, it's gradually got better. Like Julio's kind of riding a little bit of a hot streak, a little bit. So and I mean, Cal Raleigh has just been hot as hell lately. I mean, you touch that man, your finger melts off. Um, so pitching more or less has been roughly the same as from at least from what I've seen. I haven't looked at every game score and stuff like that due to work, but I try to look at as many as possible. I still feel like the pitching is still good and consistent. I know we had to bring up Emerson again, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit. But yeah, definitely could use some help. Hopefully, and we'll get. I'm guessing we'll get into that here in a little bit about possibly adding a bat to this rotation, a good solid bat. So, yeah, I mean, we kind of told it too. Like Houston has the capability of doing what they're doing right now. They were really hurt to start the year. Like they were really hurt. And now they're starting to kind of get it back. Though I know they've kind of played a lot of poopy teams too, so that has kind of helped their cause a little bit. But yeah. Would I like a more commanding lead? Of course, but you never can rule out Houston. Sadly, they're just sneaky people. So yeah.
Well, I'm gonna throw it to Sean here, but I agree with you. Cal, like, give him everything he wants and more. Give him his own golden porcelain in T-Mobile Park, so that way that big dumper can sit pretty
That
whenever he
dumper
wants to.
needs cushion. Okay.
Because I did watch the game where he hit home runs on both sides of the plate, and
Which
my
one?
God, huh?
Which one?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
He did that.
the
He did that
Angels.
twice within 3 days.
yeah,
So
he
okay.
did it
The
twice.
first Angels game,
Okay.
11-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just protect the dumper at all costs. Keep him here. Sean, what have you thought?
Boris, who is his agent, unfortunately, is the dagger, but he was at T-Mobile the other day. Or no, he was at Anaheim, and Jerry was talking about all game. So whatever you got to do, Jerry, that doesn't like ruin the bank because I would like to keep this Gilbert and Kirby guy. They're really pretty good, also. So I would like to sign them as well. I actually thought about texting you boys literally a week ago. I was like, when we last recorded, they were doing so well. And I was like, we are the curse. We have to get back on here and pod to flip this around because this is ridiculous. Because we left and it was immediately after we started recording and they have not been the same team since. So I'm like, we have to record again to get it and then watch. They're going to be playing. They're going to come right out of this gate. They're going to be on fire. We're going to be the podcast that turned them around.
Now, if that's true, do we have to like come back on and do an official apology for being off
Well,
this?
then the real question is like if we do this and they're hot again, do we just then not record? Because like, is it like every time we record we flip it? Like, is it how does it work?
Ooh.
So we're gonna find out. So if they're bad again, then we'll record immediately after. Or something
Yeah,
like that.
then we'll stop.
I am looking at the rest. So the season's roughly 60% done, depending on, I think league wise it's 60% done, but per team, it's just safe to say 60% over. I will say, I think not above 500 teams, but I'll say there's 21 series left. And I say there's six of those are against good teams. Like, Detroit's close to 500. The Mets are over 500 a little bit, but I don't have them as like good teams. I'm talking like Boston, Philly, and three of the six are against Houston. So that's half of like the good teams we play. I do not include Texas in that, by the way. We play New York, we play LA, and we play Boston and Philly. So like,
I assume you mean Yankees when you say New York.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the Mets. Again, they're above 500, but they're like 2 games above 500, and I don't know if they're like.
They do play the Mets though.
Yeah, they do play the Mets as well, but like they have one against each Yankee or each New York team. So I think like it is in front of them to do the thing, and I get people like the sky is falling and everything like that, but I'm like, if you told me coming into the season they would have a 1-game lead in the division at the All-Star break, how we got here is not the best, but like at the end of the day, I like the position we are in. I mean, I think everybody can agree on that. Like, hey, coming in, you're like, hey, they're first place at the All-Star. Like, that's fantastic. Everyone, the sky is falling, and it just the way it looks and the grouping is like the frustrating part. But since it is such a grouping of games, I feel like the Mariners, because like ebbs and flows of baseball, they're due to just like not be this bad going forward, and they'll start to play a little better. So it sucks. Every team goes to ebbs and flows. The Yankees have been crazy struggling, and everyone on the West Coast is like, oh my God, the Mariners are the only team that does. And like the Yankees are like now not in first place and like fighting for a wild card because they just like collapsed. Like they were like a 600 winning percentage. They were like a 700 winning percentage team. Now they're sub 600. Like they've dropped over 100 winning percentage points. Like, and no one on the West Coast seems to be like, oh yeah, good teams do lose baseball games. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone kind of flows to the median at a certain point.
Well, it's also we're Mariners fans and we are accustomed to this sort of thing happening.
Are we used to having big leads and losing? We just Matthew, in the past we just like suck and just lose from the rip usually. Like that's usually what the Mariners fans are used to, right? Like
I prefer that actually over the heart getting
like,
ripped out.
Actually,
actually,
this is uncharted territories where we have a lead and then we lose it because like in the past we just like the season starts and we're out. Like it's over. Like
well, last year we had that good August and then we were out.
Well, but that's the thing. We're always coming from behind. We're never in the lead. Like we're never ahead. We're always like, oh, we gotta play crazy to catch back up in the race. And then like what was it like Felix's last year? We're like, oh, we gotta try to catch Oakland. Gotta get that wild card. We're like, couldn't quite get there. Like we're never ahead and then lose the lead. We're always like near the bottom. They're like, we gotta try to make it up in August. And like so it's like now we're in the lead. We're in an uncharted territory for these Mariners. And like I think can we go to like what is it, the next point that you wanted to make about the stadium and everything like that?
Well, we only have about 4 minutes left on the old Zoom call here.
Okay.
But if you want to start, go ahead and we can I'll pause here in a little bit.
Yeah, so there's people on Victory Laps saying like, oh, I knew you couldn't hit in the stadium, blah 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 blah. I've seen this all over. So this is for those people. So I gotta go share this and tweet because I tweeted with some of these people and I was like, are they subtweeting me? Because I don't think they listened to my conversation. So what I was saying when I was talking to people was like, hey, like they're like, oh, it's a stadium. The stadium is causing all these things. Like, look, they score half a run less at home than they do on the road. And my point is, it's not just the stadium. Teoscar Hernandez just said at the All-Star game, he goes, look, players talk about the stadium and how the batter's eye is terrible. Trevor May, the pitcher for Oakland, Seattle guy, talked about the batter's eye being rough on right-handed pitchers because it's not high enough. So when they release it, it's actually, where the stadiums where we sat at the bachelor party, Matthew, they're up there. The ball is being released above the batter's eye. So it's actually not a great batter's eye. So that's been the issue with a lot of, especially right-handed hitters, with Teo coming over here, Mitch Garver struggling over here, Julio struggling to start the season. Like a lot of righties, Mitch Haniger are just not seeing the ball well, and it's been a problem for a long time. So and the other issues, sample size of pitchers and everything like that. So, but like I'm saying, all three of those things are a detriment to why it is harder to score in Seattle than it is other stadiums. And what I'm saying is like the Mariners need to understand that. And I know it helps the pitchers, but the thing that you're missing is the free agent bats, and you need to address the stadium, fix the batter's eye, bring in the walls a little bit. Cleveland opened up like sections of the 300 level, and now they're a hitter's ballpark. So like you're telling me there's a bunch of nerds in Seattle. We can't figure out how to like let the air flow through a little better by opening up a section in the 300 level and let the ball travel a little bit. There's got to be some nerds we have in Seattle, right? I'm pretty sure I've heard some nerds at Microsoft work here. And there's some smart people, Boeing or whatever. Maybe Boeing's not the right time.
Yeah, Boeing's not a good example right now.
But like, there's some people who work for Boeing, not the hitmen, but like the actual scientists who work for Boeing.
Engineers, yes.
Yeah. So like I'm like, there's people that we can figure out how to like, hey, just like you do this and like just let the ball travel a little better. And I'm just like, it's not just the marine layer, it is multiple factors, and the Mariners just not hitting that well. And if you could alleviate some things and help at least eliminate some of those variables, then you could get down to the actual problem of the variables. Like, because they always bring these free agent hitters in, they always struggle. And everyone's like, man, why can't Jerry do this? And I go, it's up to Jerry and the front office to eliminate the other variables and see if it is their scouting of major leagues. But until they fix, like, there's like 4 variables, until they narrow some of those variables down, they don't actually know the problem. And I'm like, you need to address the stadium as much as you can right now, because you're not going to change the marine layer because you're not moving the stadium. So you need to address the other ones. And that's why it's just harder to hit in Safeco or T-Mobile. Gosh.
All right. Well, Kevin and I will talk about that here
Yeah.
right after this brief word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Washington, East to West Sports. Thank you for our excellent sponsors who sponsor this podcast. Now, Sean was talking about why it is so difficult to hit in T-Mobile Park. Kevin, would you like to respond? And how do you feel about this situation?
I mean, I trust the players. If they say that it's there's some difficulty there, then like front end management needs to look into it and see how because it should be home field advantage for I mean, yeah, like it helps our pitching, but our pitching's already really good. So like right now, like I think it's more about let's give a home field advantage to our hitting to try to and then just use the beastness that is our rotation to take advantage and try to squeak out some more wins here, because our offense is struggling, and especially at home. So anything that we can do to bring in some people and try to see if there's an issue to where we can kind of get that addressed, to where we might see a little bit more more pop out of our right-handed batters. So
yeah, I hear what Sean's saying, but I do have 2 things. Like, I understand what Sean is saying, but one, with enough reps, you should be able to figure something out. Like, I don't understand how you can always just like it sounds like an excuse, because it kind of is.
But that's the thing.
Like, I understand the legit
it's
concern.
1 year and they're gone. It's 1
What?
year and they're gone though. Like it's 1 year and they're gone, or the half a year and they're gone. Like,
yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, like it's still an excuse. It's still an excuse, because you're also doing this on the road. You're also not hitting on the road. So sure, the home field part is your home place. You play there a lot. But if you also can't hit on the road, then maybe it's bigger than just the stadium as well.
It's not that they're great hitters, but there is evidence to support that they hit better on the road. Like they are a better hitting team on the road. And that's what we're saying. We're not saying like if you fix the stadium, they're going to become a great hitter, but like we just need them to not be a black hole at home, because home is half of your games. It's like you need to not suck at home, like basically is what it is.
And also, it's like this has been a stadium for 25 years. Has this been brought up before? Have hitters said this before?
Players have. Mike Cameron famously said it's an issue, but like, and they've changed parts of the stadium. But my issue is like, it needs to be addressed. There's time for it to be addressed. Teoscar Hernandez is taking time out of his All-Star game thing to say how hard it is to hit at T-Mobile. Like, and he goes, and other All-Stars are talking about it. Okay, like, if you want to sign free agent bats, that's not good. He said that 2 days ago. Like, guys, like it's not like they're like, oh, some guys are talking in the clubhouse. This is like, now Teoscar's like, he's already said in an interview in the offseason, like, hey, I had trouble with the batter's eye. Now All-Star game, where he hasn't played for the Mariners at all this year, he's like, guys, we all talk about how hard it is to hit for righties at T-Mobile. And I'm like, if you're the owners and see this, like, okay, we want to sign free agent bats. This isn't good. We should probably address this. Like, because it's the first time it's been public like this. Ken Griffey Jr. famously hated
Do you guys
baseball.
know, is it that easy to do? Just change it?
I mean, like literally, Cleveland was like one of the best pitching ballparks, and they like changed like two little sections of the 300 level. Like they just opened like where where the sun comes through, Matthew and Kevin, like,
Yeah.
and they added like little like a at the Dust Devil Stadium where they have that like sunshade where you can move it up and down. They can't at the Dust Devil, but they included those in there, and now the ball travels to right field, and it's very hitter friendly park. I'm not saying like it doesn't need to be like a huge swing and become hitter friendly, but there are minor tweaks like move the fences in, maybe do something like that. See how the wind travels in at this, at evening games or something. There's got to be something. People that are smarter than us can figure some way out to help the ball travel a bit better or slow the dampening of the ball. Either that be moving in or change the batters, like at very least change the batter's eye so hitters can see the freaking ball when it comes to them. Like just things like that. You can do things like that to like help hitters hit the ball.
Okay. Yeah. I think all
And
those things should be addressed, but also
it came to a head.
stop
Like,
sucking is part of it as well. Stop making excuses.
no, that was my point when
Yeah.
I was saying on Twitter. Everyone's like, "Oh man, it's the marine layer," because that was my initial point. Man, it was like it's the marine layer. I'm like, guys, it's not just the marine layer. Like, let's settle down here. They're not hitting, because that was my initial point. I go, but like it's them not hitting plus these other mitigating factors, not just the marine layer. Like there are multiple things other than the marine layer, and they're just not producing. So yeah, I agree. But that was my point is like it's all of the stadium is not helping any of this.
Fair
And Jay
enough.
Oscar just happened to say it 2 days ago. That's why I brought it
So speaking of said All-Star game, Logan Gilbert and then later Andres Munoz was named to the All-Star team. Do you guys think this was legitimate? Did they have another case for a Cal Raleigh or anyone else to make the All-Star team? Kevin, what do you think?
I mean, Cal, yeah, possibly. Uh, I have see. Here's the thing: I haven't looked across the board at the AL for like pitching, like much lately. I mean, maybe Kirby, but like I said, I don't know what the rest of the AL starting rotation kind of looks like, but yeah, I would say maybe Kirby possibly. Wu's got some good numbers in the areas as well, but I mean, he's just coming back off an injury not too long ago. So, but I mean, at the same time too, you're gonna, there's so many other teams they have to represent. It's not fair if we take it all from one. We don't want to be the Yankees where everybody hates us because like all the starting rotation came from us. So.
Well, I mean, I would want to be that. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, I want 2001 Mariners to be like dominating the All-Star game again. But I mean, I get Kevin's point. Like, my answer is no hitters because I mean, we just talked about it. Right? Like, what are we doing?
Fair.
Cal had a point because he plays catcher and everything like that. But there's a lot of there's decent catchers and guys who technically play catcher, with DHs and all that stuff. So you could have made a slight case for Cal, but honestly, I'm like, no, none of you deserve to be an all-star because none of you deserve to be an all-star because you're not hitting. Kirby had a legitimate case, but like Kevin said, the easiest way to fill in like those extra like, Oakland needs a player, Mason Miller, although Mason Miller deserves to go, but teams like that, the easiest thing is like a bullpen arm. And so a lot of the arms usually tend to go to like, we need to fill in X team here, fill in, this team. And that's where they usually go. So it's harder to get the extra pitchers to go in that regard. So Kirby could have made a case, but there's also there's plenty of cases for other pretty good pitchers in the American League. So coin toss, should he have gone? Again, none of the Mariners pitched today. I just looked it up. So at the end of the day, I know it's a big deal for them, but like we're complaining for a playoff and maybe a division title for a long time. Please don't get hurt in the All-Star game. That's all. I was telling someone, I was like, look, I'd rather not have them be in the All-Star game, so that means they don't pitch. But I know for them, they obviously want to go, and contracts and money wise, there's probably like things where they get more money if they go. So, but Kirby's, I think Kirby started off rough, and that's what kind of hurt him. He's been coming on strong recently, and it helped, but it was a little too late. And Kevin, to your point, Wu just has only pitched like 44 innings. If he had pitched the full season, obviously he's going. His ERA is like sub-2, so yeah. But he just hasn't pitched enough. So
right.
He needs to get healthy. But yeah, and he did pitch recently, so and he got kind of touched a little bit. But yeah, but yeah, Wu, if he had pitched enough, he would definitely be going. Might even be the starter as good as numbers are. Yeah, so
Well, you did mention Teoscar Hernandez, and there has been some talk on the internet sphere about some of the players that have left and how they are doing in their other teams now. Um, what have you guys thought of some of these players that have gone on to play well at the other teams, like Teo with the Dodgers, Kelnick with the Braves, Winkers with who again? I saw his name. I don't know who he plays for.
Washington.
Washington. Are you guys? Do you guys feel that same sentiment of like we let these guys get away, or are you just like, they're just doing better where they are? Sean, what do you think?
I think it's a little A, little B. I think, like you said, like Winker's underlying numbers were better than he was. It's just I don't think it was ever going to fit. I heard there's a lot of like locker room stuff. He just wasn't happy in Seattle. So it's one of those like same with Kelnick. I don't know if it's ever going to just happen here just because of like a chemistry thing. Winker's child was on the East Coast and it was just hard for him to be away from his daughter. And I get that, like, and wasn't playing well, so I get it. So if he had played well, maybe it'd have been a different thing and sign a longer deal. It who knows how it goes if like it starts off better, but it didn't start off good. So I think it just spiraled on him. It's just hard to hit. And Teo was fine here, but again, fine was not what we brought him in for. And I just think it comes down to, let's say they want it, they go this route because the ownership won't spend the money, and that's why they keep having to dig in these like these pools like this and not getting the all stars where those guys won't be suffered from that split as much. Like Mike Trout can hit in T-Mobile, it's not a problem, but like they're not going to get those type of guys. They're going to play in the Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker was also awful last year. So let's not like say like he turned around. Like it took him a full year. And I said this, I think on the podcast before, I was like, we should be worried that when players come here, their career ends. Like Colton Wong was a good player for 3 years, WRC plus of over 110, 3 years, and is out of the league basically. Doesn't play baseball anymore. Same with AJ Pollock. His career was done. Over 110 WRC plus 3 years prior, his career's done. Mitch Garver cannot hit at all. I mean, he's actually getting better recently, so maybe that, right now in the beginning it looked like it was rough. Can't hit at all. Jorge Polanco can't hit at all. I'm like, that's why it needs to be adamant that we fix the stadium, because it's not just 1, 2. We have a long track record of this, and it is clearly a system issue. Like it's not just like we're picking this guy, lefty, young, old, blah, blah, blah. It's all over the place, and you're just constantly firing there. It's not working. And so it's clearly something beyond like this, because I don't know if the process, what all of them have in common even. So I don't know how you can even narrow that down. So I think it's you fix the stadium thing first, and if it persists, then you have to adjust from there. But I mean, again, though, like Jarred Kelenic was crazy hot to start, sucked for 2 months, and has been hot again, and then he's just probably going to suck again. And so, like, is he going to be good? We ignored Gino, who has basically got benched by the Diamondbacks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he sucks. He's actually the worst hitter in baseball, according to OPS Plus. So, like, there's also plenty of guys who left and are just bad. So, like, it's not just that they're good. I mean, so we just know of the 3. And again, Jesse Winker was never going to be good here. And we all knew Teo was a 1-year deal anyways. But, like, I just, it does worry me that all these free agents come here and they don't produce like they're supposed to. Because Jorge Polanco, Mitch Garver should have been a lot better than this. And it's not that I want them to be, like I said this last year with AJ Pollock and Teo, is I want them to, I don't even need them to be like 100% of what they were in the past. I just need to be 90% of what they were. Like, just don't be awful. And it's the sudden massive drop off in all these free agents. It's like Mitch Garver's WRC plus the previous 3 years was like 130 average, and it's like 70. Like, for those that don't get it, WRC plus average baseball player is 100 on the season, and it adjusts for stadium, by the way. That stat adjusts for the stadium. That's why we use it. And so he was like 30% better than the average major league hitter, and now he's like 30% worse in like 1 season with Seattle. I'm like, that is not just a player getting bad, because again, they're different ages, all the lefties, righties, blah, blah. And it's just like, what is going on here? Why is it always like such a massive drop? And that's why, like, there is probably some fault in the process of Jerry and that team looking at certain players and they just can't figure it out. But also there has to be more than that to justify that big of a drop. I just need you to be like a 90 WRC plus, maybe even 100 WRC plus, and that's fine. But it's just such a drastic drop. Colton Wong was like 40. Like, it was just awful. Like, what is second base is cursed. Robinson Cano come back and play baseball for the Mariners, because like, what has happened at second base since he left? We've got 3 guys who are 3 all-stars 3 years in a row, and 3 of them might be out of baseball here soon. Like Adam Frazier, Colton Wong, and Jorge Polanco. Like, what has happened at second base since Robinson Cano left? I don't know. I'm at a loss. But
he left a curse on it. He
I
actually,
don't. What
there's
has
actually a
happened?
voodoo doll underneath second
Adam
base.
Frazier was clearly the worst of the 3, but he was still like a competent major leaguer. And he's like, I suck. And then Colton Wong's like, I'm a really good hitter. I suck. Like, and I just don't suck. I'm awful. Like at baseball. Jorge Blanco's like, I'm an all-star. I'm really good. I'm a roster in fantasy every year for like 8 years. And he's like, oh, by the way, I suck at everything now. And I'm like, what is happening? Can you just be like even like 80% of what you were? Like, I'll take that. But like, it's like 50%. We're getting like 50% of all these guys. And it's just like, it screams something's like majorly wrong, and we need to help out the hitters as much as possible.
Watch, there's like a gas leak under second base the whole time.
And it's just like affecting them. Like second base is just crazy. Like look at some of the numbers, like year in and year out, and I'm just like, what is going on at that position with the Mariners? It's a curse. We used to have a curse in left field, but I think Luke Raley fixed it. But like now the curse just moved to second. Like what is going on? But
Kevin,
yeah, I wish I had an answer, Matthew. I don't have an answer. I don't.
Any
know.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, other stadiums have go into a part too. Like Kelnick going to the Braves. One, he hasn't been consistent. Two, the Braves, everything around him has gotten better.
And he's a part-time player now.
Yeah,
he doesn't play against lefties. Like he played every day in Seattle, and now his numbers are better because he doesn't have to hit against lefties.
Like the Braves are a World Series caliber team, and then you have Teo going to the Dodgers, World Series caliber team. Everything around him is better. Like
when you have 4 MVPs on that team, it's pretty easy to hit. It's pretty easy to be number 5 guy.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean.
Now, if they're going to okay, so the Nationals with Winker is a different story, but like
the Nationals are hitting, Kevin. I don't know if you noticed this.
Oh, I know.
Hits.
Like
they hit.
There's some good hitting on it.
I don't know why.
They have some useful prospects that have been.
Can we trade for Lane Thomas? Like, please, I'll take 1 Lane Thomas, please, from the Nationals.
But what was I gonna say? Essentially, they've gone to where everything is just kind of better around them, so to speak. Now, if they had gone to, let's say, like Oakland and are going ape shit, then then there's something to be positive.
Is this when I tell you who's Oakland's leadoff hitter is?
Abraham Toro?
Yeah. He's been great. He's been fine. Like, I guess we could say he's been fine.
But
Oakland's a hitter's ballpark, that's for sure.
Well, it's a no one's ballpark here a little bit.
I definitely do agree with Sean that like we're going to be struggling here because players don't want to come here to play, which I don't blame them. Like the track record history doesn't look pretty, and it's just kind of like as a free agent, it's like, do you want to go to see him?
Yeah, like,
and then like you now see because like last year, you could probably say like, oh, you get to go play with Julio, and then like Castillo's like raking, but now then like Julio's dropped off a little bit, and it's kind of like, okay, I get to go play with Julio, who might resurge up, and then Cal Raleig's hot, and then yes, they have like one of the best starting rotations in the league, and their bullpen's solid, but like hitting wise, it's not really enticing. So.
Why would I look up Abraham Toro? The recent also searches is Eric Gagne. What does Eric Gagne have to do with Abraham Toro? Sorry. Like, what?
It's an interesting sub-search right there.
For 10 years. What does Abraham Toro and Gagne have to do
secretly with cousins.
I was like, I get all these of Eric Gagne? Like, okay, yeah.
They're best friends.
All right, well, now I have to ask the question. Last time we were on the podcast, we talked about buying, we talked about trades, we talked about the Mariners trying to get something. You guys still in that same spot? Are we still buying? What are we buying? What are you trying to buy? Sean?
I want...
Or are we selling?
I want Lane Thomas type moves. Lane Thomas is underrated and a good player, a good outfielder for the Nationals. And I don't think it'll take much to get a Lane Thomas in terms of prospects. There are prospects I don't want to touch. I think we talked about this last time. I would absolutely refuse to touch on at least 4 prospects. But I feel like we can easily. Everyone wants a sexy player. I don't want Vlad Jr. because he's not as good as simply as what he's going to demand. Players like that, Bo Bichette, don't want any part of that because it's just going to cost too much. I'm willing to get a Lane Thomas, help us out there, get some of those more not sexy moves, but like guys who are just like majorly competent hitters. And I'm like, just fill out this roster with majorly competent hitters. So what we thought we did with Polanco and Garver, but like again, I actually think Garver's gonna be fine. I think he's hitting up a little bit, but like, you know what I mean? Like we just need a couple more guys to like fill out this roster a little bit. Maybe a first baseman. Sorry, Ty France, but like, you know, just to help out just a little bit because we need to get going. And ultimately at the end, Matthew, I don't know if we need to do a ton because the guys who need to step up are the Cal Raleighs, the JP Crawfords, the Julio Rodriguez, and and um, and the Mitch Garbers and the Jorge Blancos. The guys you brought in that are major league caliber proven players are the ones that you put. Canzone, Luke Raley, like the guys you were like, I don't know, Josh Rojas, like, I don't know if these guys are major leaguers. They've been the best players for the Mariners. Like the guys who need to play better are the guys you thought were going to be good coming into the year. So you're kind of in a weird spot because like, do you trade for a stud? Ty France's OPS is over 100. He's like one of two guys. Like he's actually your second best hitter behind Luke Raley. So I'm like, you might move on from Ty France, but is Ty France your problem? No, it's Julio Rodriguez not being able to hit a freaking baseball. Like that's actually your issue. And unless you're going to move on from Julio, like he just needs to play better. So I don't think you need these like colossal moves during the season because you need your guys, your JP Crawfords, Matthew, your boy. You need him to play better. You need him to not suck. You need like that. That's been what's killing them is like their top of their lineup just can't do anything for a while. And hopefully Julio and Cal are kind of figuring this out. And Mitch Garver's figuring this out a little bit because they have a talented team. That's what's frustrating. I think it's to the point now I'm finally realizing it. That's I think what's more frustrating. There's talent. They're just not doing it. And that's why I'm like, get these middling guys to kind of help boost that like depth a little bit, but don't need a like a Vlad Guerrero Jr. who's going to be a free agent in 2 years anyways. Like get your guy in the offseason, but get these like supplemental pieces, get a bullpen piece in a trade here and there. Like, but please don't break the bank and sell like Celestin and Montas and, you know, all these guys. Please don't like sell all of those guys. You can get rid of Harry Ford, but like, please don't get rid of like sell your massive. All you could give away part of your farm system, but don't trade all of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, most definitely. You need to get a bat. Yeah, Lane Thomas would be nice. I'm still in on the Luis Robert train.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, it's the price, but for sure, yeah, if you can get him for not kill your farm system.
Yeah, just throw him. Yeah, yeah. Montas and Celestine are untouchable. Like they.
I like Farmelo, but if you're telling me I get 4 years of Luis Robert,
Right.
it's hard to pass that up. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to really pass that up. So.
But yeah, you essentially just got to. First base is interesting too because a lot of people have been talking coding Bellinger, and I'm like, yeah, I might rather like.
So he's hurt. He's on the IL, and he's like a 1 year. He's on a 1 year deal.
I mean,
so
hasn't Tyler Locklear played first down below?
He has, but like, I don't know if he's like the future at first. And again,
well,
Ty France's WRC plus is over 100. Like he's not been their biggest issue. Like,
yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, you could upgrade, but like, you just need the other guys to play. If all of the other guys play like the back of their baseball card, then we can upgrade Ty France. But what if you trade for this guy and he's not good, and Ty France is like one of your like okay hitters,
you
and
just can't
now you don't play him
out there too.
Yeah, just play Bliss at this point. I don't need to see Jorge Polanco. Like, just play Bliss.
So definitely, I would say you have to buy it and you have to go get. You
got to get a couple good. You got to get a couple bats. They don't have to be world beaters. If you want a Luis Robert, I'm not going to be sad if you trade for Luis.
Your pitching is too good to not try to get it.
Yeah, you need to help this rotation and this bullpen, please.
Yeah, I think we're mostly in agreement. Like you guys have both said, I want them to do something. Do something. Improve this lineup somehow.
Well, hold on, Matt. They've been rumored for Jazz Chisholm. What are your thoughts?
I don't know a lot about him other than he was on the cover of the MLB game.
Which he should have been, but what?
I think he was on my fantasy team last year, if I'm not mistaken. But
he's always hurt. That's his issue. He's always hurt.
But it's just the thing of like you said, we're not in a bad position. Like we haven't played great these last month-ish, but we're still in the lead. Like let's try and go for it. I think I said this last podcast. Like do something. Let's go for it. We're in a good spot now. We have a lead. Let's let's do it. Like, come on. Like,
But
and you can see it online. Like Mariners fans want something to, and the playoff drought breaking was awesome. Like we all remember
yeah,
that. Like they beat the Blue Jays and went to Toronto and won. And sure, we got swept by the Astros, but it wasn't like an absolute beating by the Astros.
no,
Like
they
we
were
were right
very
there.
all they were
So
all very
like
close games. Yeah,
I want that again. Like it has been once in 20 years. Give it to
yeah.
me. Like
Well,
let's make a move and
I
let's
will
go for it.
I will
I
say
don't want to stand pat.
don't get like absolutely if someone knows you're desperate, that's actually the worst place to be in. Like
Well, no,
all
no,
off season, everyone's
I'm
like, we
not
have.
saying we're gonna be desperate. I'm not saying
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
sell the
what if
bank.
Jerry doesn't make a move because like everyone's like, well, the Mariners are desperate. We want all of your prospects for this, and then everyone's gonna be like, well, you didn't make a move, Jerry. He's like, I'm not giving away all 6 of my top guys for Lane Thomas. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing it. I give them credit because like all offseason we heard trade one of these young Woo or Miller. How dumb would that have been at this point? Like Woo and Miller have been great. Like I'm glad they didn't trade them. I was even on the bandwagon of trading Miller, and I'm like, look, Jerry said he said in the offseason, I didn't get what I wanted for him, and they're very valuable. And I was like, dude, you should have probably traded one of them. And I'm like, dude, I'm wrong. You like those two have been studs. And so if you don't think you're gonna get fair value, please don't pull the trigger just for like I get what you're saying, Matthew. I don't think you're saying this, but I'm saying like just in general, like don't just make a trade and make a trade and feel like you have to and trade away more than they're worth, like a Vlad Guerrero Jr. Like don't give away the farm for a guy. But like if you could get some, you might have to give up more than you probably wanted, and that's fine. But don't like when I see the trade, be like, what the hell? Like I don't want that. Like even if we're in first place, I'm like, yeah, we got Luis Robert, but like, what just happened? Like, why is Montas, Harry Ford, Celestin, Fermello, Cole Young, why are they all gone? Like, why do we trade all 6 of these guys? Like, what are we freaking doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see that because I will be upset about that. Like,
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but also like let's trade some of the assets that we have
yes,
because we just don't know what the prospect will be.
you
We
you
don't
build
know,
you
and
build
we
a
hope
farm.
they'll be good, but we don't
Yeah,
know.
you build a
So
farm to
see what
trade
we
from
can
the
get
farm.
now for a guy who could hopefully play and make a difference now.
Yeah,
That's what
you
I
build.
want.
Well, the whole adage is you draft and develop to bring some guys up, but to trade them. Like that's the goal. Like you draft and develop because like that's why we have Harry Ford. Where's Harry Ford even going to play for the Mariners? Cal should be a Mariner for a long time, so he doesn't have a position to even play. So you draft and develop these guys to trade them. Like that is their ultimate goal. And so sometimes it burns you, sometimes it doesn't. But like at the end of the day, I don't care as long as you get better on the field. But like just don't, there is such a thing as like giving up too much for a guy. Ask the White Sox when they trade away Fernando Tatis Jr. So like I'm just saying like it does, or the Dodgers who traded Yordan Alvarez. I'm just saying it does happen. So like and not even like an individual player, but like you could see a package is bad just at the like a Jamal Adams. You could see a package is too much from the rip sometimes, like just don't get robbed blind. Like some of these guys turn out to be monsters, and you're like you trade you trade Cole Young and Harry Ford and like 2 other low A guys for Luis Robert. I'm like, okay, well, that's a pretty fair trade. He's got 4 years, and then these 2A guys turn out to be monsters. I'm like, well, that's fine. Sometimes the other team rolls the dice and they hit double sixes. You know what? It happens sometimes.
They're all Schrodinger's prospects. We don't know what they will be
exactly.
at this point.
Sometimes they roll a nat 20 and it turns out to be great. But I'm like, you can only judge it at the time, and like at the time, pretty fair trade. They're wild cards. They happen to hit. Okay, good for them. You know what I mean? Like, who's to say they wouldn't hit for the Mariners? So I'm okay with it. Just don't give up your entire. I don't want to come out of this and be like, 8 of our top 10 guys are gone, because I really like 8 of our top 10 guys, but like let's just. That's what I'm saying. Like Elaine Thomas maybe takes like a Harry Ford and like a pitcher, and you could probably get Elaine Thomas. And I'm like, I love him to be there for those 2 guys. Like I think value wise he'd be great, and so that's kind of why I'm leading that route. But if you did a Luis Robert, I'm not gonna be sad about it. I would actually love it.
Well, let's talk about some future prospects. The MLB draft is ongoing. There are so many rounds in the MLB draft. Dear Lord.
Matthew, they cut it down by like in half.
Yeah,
like,
dear Lord. Oh my God.
It used to be like 40 rounds.
That is way too many.
Is it going still? I thought it's done now.
Well, I see 20 rounds on here. I'll share my screen.
20 rounds is it now.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Post COVID, they limited it to 20 now. Yeah.
All right. Well, our first round pick is Jurangelo.
Jurangelo.
What is
I'm
it?
not even gonna try. Jurangelo. It's a combination of his mom and dad's name, just so you know.
Jurangelo.
Don't even know.
Sinte?
I've heard so many people try to pronounce it. I don't even.
Sinte. I don't know. I don't know. There
Yeah.
needs to be a pronunciation guide on here. Mississippi State, born in the Netherlands, is a switch pitcher out of Mississippi State. So, Kevin, what kind of prospect did the Mariners draft here?
I have no idea. I haven't actually got to
I'll
look
take
at
it.
these things.
Okay,
I can
Sean?
take it. He's a switch pitcher, but he's really a righty. So that's not true. He was a natural lefty and learned how to pitch right. He's from I believe Carousel, I think, right?
Said Netherlands on there.
But that's where he's born. But
Oh, okay,
he
gotcha.
grew up. Yeah. Because his dad played baseball over there. When he was born. So he's switch pitcher. He's more of a righty than a lefty, even though he's a natural lefty. So, and the rumors are he's gonna probably just be a righty, but he's just really raw. And so his stuff from the right side looked really good. Fastball's crazy versus
No
righties.
highlights? What is this, MLB?
He's
Bum?
basically unhittable. But hold on,
I got it. I got it.
you got it. Okay. I was gonna say I found some, but yeah, that's basically what he is. He is a switch pitcher technically. I hope the Mariners let him keep doing it. It doesn't hurt to keep letting you try to play lefty a little bit, but I think he's gonna be a righty, and he's kind of small for his size. But I'll say this in the future too with other guys. I really like their second round pick, Ryan Sloan. I will never criticize the Mariners drafting a pitcher because who can? Look what they've done, like with the pitchers, like it's ridiculous. So when the Mariners draft a pitcher, and that's what someone said on a national broadcast. They said that way if they're drafted, they go, look, he's got upside and he's raw, but like the Mariners produce the pitchers better than anybody in baseball. So you just say, go for it. You know what I mean? Like because they're turning out guys left and right. They made Jeff Passan's talked about it 2 years ago where they made an entire rotation in 2 years. So like you just give the Mariners the benefit of that. If they see something, they have a process. It is clearly working. So trust what they see. He's fun, man. Like switch pitcher. They also haven't drafted a catcher / pitcher later. So I'm just saying.
Sean, any other guys you want to highlight on this list?
Yeah, I like Ryan Sloan. Ryan Sloan in high school. So he's probably gonna be over slot. So do you guys know how those slots work and prices and everything like that? I can give a quick rundown if you don't.
What, this? This
Yeah,
column?
well, no. So they have a pool that they can sign all their players from, and so often not often, but sometimes the best player doesn't go first or higher because they don't think they can sign him for a reasonable amount of money. Or so like the number one overall pick this year is a Boise or a Oregon State guy who's probably going to come under slot, so they could save some money versus the average of that slot and use that and draft a more expensive guy than they should be later on in the draft. Like Ryan Sloan's going to be more expensive than that pick value because he has so much more upside, but teams didn't draft him for various reasons, but didn't think they could sign him because he can't go to college because he's a high school pitcher. So the rumor is the Mariners are just going to offer him a bunch of money that they're saving from Durangelo to Ryan to get them to both sign. That's kind of how it works. Like you basically have like $10 million to sign, I don't know, 10 guys. You could spend the money any way you want. And so that's why like maybe you don't take the best player because he's going to cost 8 of your $10 million. You're like, crap, I can't sign anyone else. So that's kind of how it works in a rough roundabout way with this. So I really like Ryan Sloan. He's a high school pitcher. They just love drafting righties. I would have loved them to draft some lefties, but if they keep throwing righties up there who get everybody out, I don't really care. So yeah, they drafted a lot of pitchers, and as we talked about it before, they keep they have a bunch of hitters in their minor leagues, so they need to refresh their pitchers, and they did that. They reloaded fast. So got a bunch of college arms too, so it should be here sooner rather than later. So yeah, I think three of their first 4 pitchers are all college pitchers. So yeah.
Well, Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you for a prospect report if you got it.
Yeah, pull it up here. Not much has changed. Still, that Montes guy, really good. Let's see here. Let me kind of drive back through. Most of it a lot of it lately has been shown about the picks and stuff like that.
Trying to see here. They did say that they came out. They have 8 in the top 100 according to Baseball America. Super good, it turns out. And then the rumors are they might have more because Modesto is just like killing everybody, their run differential, and everyone's like, some of these pitchers are good. And so I don't know much about the pitchers because the hitters have just overshadowed them so much. But apparently some of the low A pitchers are getting some love now too because everyone's like, oh yeah, if they have such a big run, they have to also prevent them. And so they've been kind of noticing that as well. So
Holt
um,
Emerson's been good.
Colt Emerson. He's finally back and healthy, and yeah,
Yeah.
dude's a dude. Yeah, for sure.
No 5 games released.
Celestin at 3 years younger than the average age is posting a 150 WRC plus. That's pretty good for a 18-year-old.
I hear that's
Yeah, he's killing it. Let me see
uh,
here.
Freddie Batista has been doing some things within the last week or so. Good at bats.
The name that hasn't been talked about who is going to fall out of the top 10 of the Mariners list because of their draft picks because they're going to have 2 guys slot in the top 10 now. But Aiden Smith, uh, uh, draft pick a couple years ago, 19 years old, or from last year, 140 WRC plus in A ball. Yeah, he's been great and it kind of just goes not talked about because he wasn't one of the higher guys, and he's just doing things.
And
So
we got a little bit of time left. Next week, the Everett Aqua Sox come to the Tri-Cities. You boys going?
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna try to go. I am out of town for most of that week. We're probably gonna try to go to the Saturday game. I think is what, right, Kevin? Like I think.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
If I can, so I have that Thursday through Sunday off, so I'm gonna try to go.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Yeah, I fly back into town Thursday. So
It also depends on
late
how
Thursday.
hot it is too. So
It's gonna be 100. So, but yeah,
it's
I do want to go.
Who
So
are you most excited to see?
Montes.
Montas.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Laz.
Sean, this is your chance to utilize your sons and get some autographs here.
The
All
only
right?
issue is I don't think he's gonna go on Saturday because he just has so many. The day for him is just gonna be nonstop, and there's
Oh.
no way he's gonna be awake. Like there's just no way
That
that
is
kid.
actually cuter and might get you an autograph
How's he
that
gonna
way
get an
too.
autograph when he's just asleep? Like
The
This
forecast
this
for
this ball's for my
Thursday is
son. He's asleep
92.
and he couldn't ask you, can you sign this ball for my son?
I maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It might just be easier to keep him at home. But yeah, Logan Evans still a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gosh, dude, Logan Evans ERAs per
I assume you're going in front of the pod, JT, as well.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
ERA per 0.75 the next year, and then 0.222 this year in Double A. Dude is just Mayor's just that's what I'm saying when they draft all these college pitchers. Everyone's like, who's that guy? Kind of over slot, and then the guy on the draft was like, the guy at the draft room for the MLB was like, it's the Mariners. Like, have you seen their rotations and what they're doing with pitchers? Like, you don't question it until like they know what they're doing with pitchers, and they just keep making these dudes out of nothing. And it's just like, and not out of nothing, but Miller and Wu and Logan Evans, like they weren't high draft picks, and they're just like, okay, you're all major league pitchers here within 2 years. They were rushing when they had a big lead. They were rushing Logan Evans to put him in the bullpen because like I think they think you're right, and they're like, let's slow down. You got to be a starter. But like that's what they're planning on doing for a little bit. It's just like they just know pitchers, man. So Harry Ford, Cole Young, first hit of for the Mariners, first hit of the All Star Futures game. He was the second hitter. He got a single in the game, so it was the first hit of the entire game was Cole Young, Mariner. There you go. Yeah, Harry Ford got a walk in the game too. So 2 Mariners, they got on base each. So there you go, boys. Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Mariners, their prospects, the draft, the ballpark. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bearscore Matt. Sean is at NastyBilly22. Kevin is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on X or Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think of the topics we talk about in the comments below. Next time, we'll have a little bit more time. We'll go into some more Kraken, some Storm, maybe some Olympics. We'll see what we got time for. We'll see what's going on then. So with that, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports. Bring back our Sonics.